My guest today is Patrick, the creator of Program to Kill, which is a series on YouTube. So, I just want to say to begin, I think YouTube has been around for a decade, and I've been a big connoisseur of YouTube. And I think that my guest today is created, in my view, my favorite thing that's been created on YouTube. It might not be the most fancy series, but it's just a mesmerizing, hypnotic series of nonfiction videos. So, can you just summarize? Tell us about what's the nature of Program to Kill, what's it about, and how you started it?
Yeah, thank you for those kind words. The YouTube series is mostly based on the work of author Dave McGowan from the book Program to Kill, The Politics of Serial Murder. And the story is really that most of the serial killers and mass murderers does have connections with the military, intelligence agencies, the occult, Satanism, and secret societies. And those serial killers, mass murderers are for the most part, are being used as program killers and scapegoats for the shadow governments around the world. So there is not really a lone nut, a lone wolf at hunt, but most likely there are cases which involves extortion, blackmail, organized crime, secret societies, and the occult. Those things of those nature.
So why don't you, if you don't mind, talk about sort of how it began for you? So I think you're 29, right?
Yes.
Okay, so when did you started the series 6 years ago or 7 years ago now? So if you don't mind, could you sort of take us to the how you got the idea and how it started?
No, of course. I think it was at the age of 14, 15 years of age. I saw a documentary about serial killers, and I was instantly just really scared of it. And I didn't see the videotape for like 3 months. And after that, I saw it again, and I was instantly hooked and obsessed with serial killers. And I read a lot of magazines, books about very different kinds of serial killers, like John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, Ed Gein, Paul Bernardo, Carlo Molca, Wayne Williams, like every serial killer that ever existed. So I was really becoming you can call it maybe an expert on those subjects. And like 4 years later, I also was introduced in the conspiracy arena with 9/11 and chemtrails and mind control. And I didn't make the apparent connections with serial killers nuts, but just by sheer chance in the bookstore, I think months later, a few years later, I found the book by author Dave McGowan, Program to Kill. And I took it home with me and read it, and like the first chapter and second chapter just blew my mind away, and I saw everything with patterns, and there was not really a conspiracy, it was really based on facts. I mean, his source material was not from conspiracy.com or something like that. It was more like national newspapers, USA Today, Esquire magazine, just really like mainstream sources. So he had really credibility in his work. And really all those serial killers had connections with shadow governments. And I always had many unanswered questions with the serial killers. And with McGowan's work, it just truly, everything was filled in almost. And after reading the book, I just decided to make a short documentary on YouTube. And in all fairness, the first 10 or 20 parts was merely all Dave McGowan's work, just directly from the book. And after his investigations, I started to investigate for myself, like some unknown serial killers that Dave McGowan didn't provide in the book. And Lord and behold, all those serial killers also have all those connections with military and intelligence agencies, the occult, Satanism, secret societies. So it was a whole revelation for me, and a YouTube series was born.
There's almost 90 parts to it now, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, and so to those who don't know, Program to Kill is basically sort of a YouTube playlist you've created. It's all your videos, but
yes,
it consists. It's not one long thing that's an hour long. It's these sort of bite-sized videos that can range anywhere from 2 to 8 minutes. But part two is such a great video by you where you talk about how all these different collectors, right, were all sent to the same, all went into the army to be medics, were all sent to the same place, right?
Yeah, it was truly McGowan's investigation that I think at least 3 serial killers were stationed in the Baumholder, Germany, in a military base, and at least one of them, military records showed that he was being experimented with accurate mind control. So yeah.
Today, I sort of want to be that fan who's going to put you on the spot about what do you think? What is your theory? Because you do not come out and point it out. So is the theory, what I got from what you presented was that, as we know, in the Vietnam era, if you joined the army, you were given all these tests, and some of them were psychological. And is it your theory that these guys, Dahmer, etc., they were profiled and they sort of like understood, okay, these guys are messed up, and they were sort of put into a special program?
Yeah, I do believe that is accurate. I believe at least like 5 or 10 serial killers were really profiled candidates, and they were really being profiled because they were really troubling, had sick minds, and were maybe drug users or something like that, or what you said, psychological testing. I think Jeffrey Dahmer, David Berkovich, he was taking LSD in the army. You have the cousin of Richard Ramirez, who was a Phoenix operative. You have Albert DeSalvo, the alleged Boston Strangler, who was actually stationed in Baumholder, Germany. You have so many. You have Leonard Lake and Charles Ng, who were in the Marine Corps. You have Jeffrey Dahmer. You have Arthur Shawcross, who actually also was a Phoenix operative and was really coming back in the USA and starting murdering people. So I think it's not really a question of doubt, but more of research, yeah.
Yeah, so how many, just to give people an idea, part of what I love about the series is it's not like you've just focused on 5 or 6 different guys. How many different serial killers are involved in the whole series?
Well, I think at least 50. Yeah, really a lot of serial killers.
Yeah, and a lot of them I'd never heard of. The BTK killer. So, can we talk about the Son of Sam case? I believe your theory was he was part of a group. It wasn't a lone guy, and that they were videotaping these murders, Son of Sam murders, and the videotapes were for I believe the Mr. Big of Satanism. Who are the candidates for that Mr. Big? And talk about what the public doesn't know about Son of Sam, if you could.
Well, Mr. Big was actually a character named Roy Radin, who was a cotton club producer who lived at Long Island in a big mansion. And really, I think at least one of the Son of Sam murders was indeed videotaped, the murder of Stacy Moscovich. And they were traded also around the Church of Satan for drugs and other commodities. And really, the Son of Sam case was really perpetrated by a cult of individuals, even women, men and women, and not only one nut who was just shooting around couples in cars. And even a mayor, I don't know at the top of my head his name, but the mayor of New York later opened the investigation for a second time because he was convinced there were other people involved. So you have a mayor of the city of New York who actually come forward, and you also have David Berkowitz himself who made claims of a cult involved, and he was not the lone gunman. I think the book The Ultimate Evil by Arthur Mortari did some in-depth investigation in that case, and also a book by Michael A. Hoffman II, Secret Societies and Psychological Warfare, also delved into the subject.
Yeah, I guess this leads us into part 82, which I wanted to talk about with you in particular, but also your return. So basically, you started this series 7 years ago, and you made over 80 videos, and then you stopped like 3 years ago, right? And then just recently, I was such a big fan of the series that first of all I watched them all in a row. I couldn't stop. It was like a weekend of just Program to Kill because I it was so amazing. But then I would check in. I would see have you made any more videos? But just recently you've returned with part 82. I think you've made about 5 videos. Can you talk about why you've returned, why you stopped, why you've returned, and what what your newer videos are about?
Yeah, the truth is really when I started with the documentary, I had a part-time job, so a lot of free time at my hands, and I just made episode after episode. And like episodes, I think 76 or 78, I was starting to go to college for an university, and it took me 4 years to graduate, so I had a very long gap in making movies. And I think a half year ago I was graduated, and I had 3 or 4 years of raw archive material collected, because every time I see something, a picture or video, something interesting from YouTube or another internet website, I just downloaded it instantly and saved it on a hard disk. So I collected like for 3 or 4 years of archive material, and yeah, a few months ago I thought just make a big compilation of the material. That's really interesting because the earlier episodes were only text and a few pictures, and now I had a lot of really like genuine archive material, which only substantiates the allegations that I made in the series.
He, you don't tell us. You just sort of respect the intelligence of the viewer to draw these dots. Um, and is that a deliberate style choice on your part?
Well, yeah. I think if you made over like 80 parts of the documentary, you can only just zoom in on pictures, and the audience can make their own connections, conclusions. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that leads into this question I had, which is if Hollywood came to you and said, "We love what you're doing, and we want you to just make more, but we want to give you $1 million budget," would you do things differently? Would there be like Tom Cruise as the narrator and animation and
No, no,
um,
no. I would really use the money to travel and interview the surviving investigators and relatives of victims.
yeah? So you do have a style that is it's a little hard to explain, but it's very unique. You sort of have this black background. You do a lot of text. You'll show pictures. You'll show like documentaries as little parts of the screen with the sound off, and you use music, I think, in just a brilliant way. Do you have a style, and is there like a logic to how you present things?
Yeah, well, I really enjoy and love movies. I don't see movies, I almost consume movies. So I also have a lot of movie soundtracks in my possession. And I really use the soundtracks of my favorite movies in the video part series to create a more dark atmosphere and more, that's.
In your new work, I want to ask you about there's a lot of mentions about Chicago, which I know a little bit about. Can you talk about, like, you show a map at one point with a line from Chicago to Houston, and then there's a black and white picture of a guy. What's going on there?
Yeah, well, that's a very interesting connection. I found it was a news television program who actually made those conclusions that John Gacy actually had accomplices, and he was active in the Illinois surroundings. And actually, there was a very big child abuse network there, a lot of child porn. And actually, John Wayne Gacy at a construction company, it was called PDM Contractors, Paints, Decorating, and Maintenance. And he actually had an individual working for him. His name was Paskey. Paskey, I only know his last name right now. And he was associated with a man named John Norman, or what is his name? John D. Norman, and he was a big character with child pornography, and he was actually starting in Houston, Texas in the 70s, and later became active in Chicago. And it has been alleged that he was also being associated with Dean Corll and Elmer Wayne Henley, and they were also serial killers and abusing young boys. So you have all those different connections that this individual, John Norman, was actually just associated with Dean Corll and Elmer and Henley, and later went away and did stay in the Chicago area.
But is there? I forget what you say specifically about Chicago, but did you say Chicago was a center of sort of this pedophilia?
Yes. Even local newspapers did mention that fact. You can look up the old newspapers in the 70s, which were released.
So, is there anything else you'd say about Chicago and why you think it had this role?
No, not specifically Chicago, but I do know there's a lot of organized crime there.
Oh no, those are just rumors.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at it now, and it's just sort of like, is this you doing this? So you show this. I don't even know what it is, but I'm talking about the Gacy part about 4 minutes in, where you show this like miniature model. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Miniature model?
Yeah,
Could
with
you
the
elaborate further?
What?
Could you elaborate?
Yeah,
further?
it's has a clown on one side of the house, and then a guy like looking out the side of the.
Oh yeah, that's a good thing to brought up, because that is actually a painting made by John Wayne Gacy, and it is actually the Gacy house, and Gacy is in the picture on the far right in his Poker the Clown costume, and on the far left is an individual which he claims is the accomplice of many of the murders. So I wish police really investigate that claim.
Yeah, but that's you that does the close up on the other guy, huh?
That is correct.
Yeah, I mean it's just part of the style, which I love. Okay, what uh what story do you wish you knew more about? You cover so many different figures, but is there one where you just really wish, wow, I really wish there was a book out on this guy?
That's a very good question. Let me think. I think the Leonard Lake and Charles Ing case. I only have 2 books of them, so more books will be appreciated. And I really think another book about Ted Bundy, which really delved into his childhood and his upbringing. Yeah, and Edmund Kemper. Yeah, a good book about Edmund Kemper.
Yeah, I mean, I told friends that I thought there were 10 movies or 10 TV shows within your series. And true to my prediction, they're sort of doing that, whether deliberately or not. They're doing Kemper with Mindhunter. And I don't know, have you seen FX is going to do a mini series about the death of Versace?
Yes, I saw season 1 of American Crime Story about the O.J. Simpson case, and I really enjoyed it. The
Excellent.
performance and even the storyline was pretty good. So not everything was accurate, of course, because it's made for television. But I really enjoyed it. So I really hope the Versace case is also interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it was excellent. What's your view on OJ?
Personally, I think he was innocent. I think he really was being used to polarizing black and white and police corruption and all those topics. And I think it was also used as a cover up for the drug trafficking, because many of those characters were even always associated with drug trafficking. Okay. I even heard a rumor that the DEA had a videotape of the murder, but they never released it. That the Drugs Enforcement Agency was actually watching the house of Nicole Brown when she was being slaughtered to death with Ron Goldman.
Which cases to you? So, I mean, it's probably a spectrum. Some of these cases you probably feel confident you know what happened. And then some of them you feel like there's much more mystery. Which are the cases that you really wonder about, where there is a lot of mystery there still for you?
I think it's the case of Jeffrey Dahmer. That case never leaves me alone, because I really have a big hunch that Jeffrey Dahmer was being sexually abused within someone in his family circle. And I also believe there was some kind of occult or Satanism element to that whole case, that he was introduced fairly young with occult and Satanism by a member of his family. And maybe even he was being sort of pimped out, like Paul Benassi in the Franklin scandal, when he was being taken to the White House to perform sexual acts on politicians. Things in that nature. And yeah, also the case of Ted Bundy, his whole upbringing and childhood, and things of that nature, I think.
One of the things that just struck me about watching the videos is just one of the data points is how so many of these cases occur in this period from sort of narrow period from the late 70s to early 90s. And we've seen the serial killer has really been replaced by the mass killer. And that for me, that is very suspicious. Do you have any thoughts on that, and why you think that is?
Yeah, that's also a good question. I think Dave McGowan also made that assumption, a conclusion that is really suspicious indeed. I really think the 21st century was not more about serial killers and mass murders, or a little bit mass murders, but more with terrorist attacks and the whole Middle East threat. So I think it was not really the lone nut anymore, but more like a group, an organization of creating order and chaos, and not only a single individual.
Who's the biggest monster of them all in your view?
I think Jeffrey Dahmer. I think that guy really did some really twisted sick shit. I mean, if you are in an apartment which was really small, and you were showering with bodies over there and collecting skulls and Polaroid pictures and eating them and saving the body parts in freezers and had a computer and set up fake cameras. I think it was really just really stepping into the abyss.
And what is that reminds me of one of the, I don't know if you call it a motif, but one of the things that comes up a lot in Program to Kill is this sequel to the Exorcist, The Exorcist 3. Can you speak about that? What you think about that?
Yeah, it's very interesting. The Exorcist 3 was actually directed by William Blady, the film director. And before he became a director, he was actually recruited by the military as a psychological warfare agent. Very surprising. So later he made movies. He made The Exorcist and also The Exorcist 3. And surprisingly, the best movie they ever made, Jeffrey Dahmer stated, was The Exorcist 3. And even the Gainesville Ripper, Danny Rawling, also saw that movie and was really influenced by it. So you can really ask questions like, is there some kind of programming in that movie? Because it was directed by a psychological warfare operator. So yeah, I really think there's something. I saw the movie once. It was a really weird movie. You saw also a few shocking scenes, but I don't know what kind of programming it contains. It's just really interesting, yeah.
Yeah, Blatty is a fascinating character. He's not just a director. I think he's mainly known as a novelist. He wrote the novel The Exorcist, which was turned into a movie. And yeah, he was a psychological warfare operator in the army. He's also, I'm not sure if you know, a very hardline Catholic. He recently sued Georgetown for like having a speaker who supported abortion. I'm not sure if you knew that.
No, I was unaware of that.
Yeah, I mean, that he's an interesting figure, but I think can we talk about Michael Aquino? Because as far as a screenwriting perspective, the idea that you had somebody just rising up the ranks of the U.S. military, which the stereotype of the military is, clean cut Christian Republicans. And you have this guy in the 1960s who's just rising up the ranks of the military, has this long career, and oh yeah, he's this very open Satanist. What? It's sort of unbelievable. Can you talk about Aquino? Tell us his story and what you make of him.
Yeah, I did not recollect any really much of him, but I do know he was associated with the McMartin preschool case, indeed, and he was also, I think, a psychological warfare operator, and he was the founding father of the Temple of Set. He was also associated, indeed, with Anton LaVey, with the Church of Satan. And with the McMartin preschool case, many children actually pointed him out as an abuser and they can, if I recall correctly, they couldn't even remember the whole interior design of his living room and the clothes he wore like that. So really credibility that those children indeed were at his home at some point in time, and all his children had venereal diseases and stuff like that. And he was also appearing in the Geraldo Rivera show. So I also think, always believed he was some kind of forefront man. So of course, there is Satanism and occult in the U.S. military, but he was the person in position to push forward to make this revelation that there is indeed Satanism in the military.
Yeah, I mean it's sort of hilarious, but the the public view, the New York Times, looks at McMartin as representative of how we had this mass hysteria about child abuse in the 1980s. And that people would also point to Paradise Lost, the West Memphis Three, as sort of another piece of evidence about this sort of like public hysteria. What's your view of that?
I think ritual satanic abuse is not something you can just shove under the covers, under the rug, and it is. I think it was a satanic panic, but only because the mainstream media was really really truthful to the allegations. They really just pointed out everything to the mainstream media as entertainment and sensationalism, and not really accurate, and with really claims and allegations that were really were truthful. So it was more like entertainment and just frightening people with stories, and not really accurate reporting.
Have you seen Paradise Lost?
No, I don't.
Oh, so you don't know about the West Memphis Three case?
Yeah, I spoke with a few friends of mine. They were informed by the case, but no, I didn't really did much investigation. I spoke with Ed Opperman a few times, and he shared his stories with me. Yeah.
Well, I assume you're a fan of documentaries, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, Paradise Lost is one of the best true crime documentaries ever made, so I would highly recommend that. And I've had a change of heart about the guilt of you should definitely look at that. It's right up your alley. Yeah.
Okay, I will put it in my watch list. But I really heard rumors that those kids were actually guilty, but they were bailed out by famous people in the entertainment industry.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a I never say anything is 100% at all, but I remember I saw it when I was much younger, and I was totally convinced they're all innocent. But the sort of alleged ringleader is sort of like so weird. I have doubts now. I'm not sure. One of the new cases you've looked at it that I had not heard about is this Long Island case. Would you what's going on there? Are you gonna have more videos on that?
I think I really take a break in those series right now because I'm presently unemployed. So I just try to make invest energy in more different places.
Yeah.
I really think Long Island case was really interesting case because it was for a very long time still unsolved, and there are like 12 individuals murdered, and local authorities were even being accused of police corruption. I think the chief of police was really imprisoned of being corrupted and maybe being complicit in murdering young girls. So yeah.
Well, it just shows how your series always delivers on just amazing, sort of crazy stuff. There's this video of I don't know what's his name. He's a government official in Long Island, and they sort of confront him. He's accused of like calling somebody and calling the mother of this murdered girl and saying, "I run a home for girls" or something. And they approach him in a parking lot. It's just amazing. Can you describe what's going on with that?
Yeah, they were asking him why he did call the mother of one of the victims. And he just, it looked like he had a sort of stroke. He said it was his defibrillator.
Yeah.
I don't know how you pronounce it correctly. Something on his chest, attached to his chest. And later he just drive away in his car, yeah.
So you think he faked it?
It is a possibility. I don't know for sure, but what I do know is that he's a fairly interesting suspect. Yeah, it is definitely. I think most likely that he knows something more than he let on. Yeah.
So what was your view of this whole Pizzagate thing that came about during the 2016 election?
Yeah, that was really sickening. Yeah, what can you say about it? I mean, if you have Democrats, Republicans who are exchanging pictures and want to have sex with toddlers and young children, yeah, it's really sickening.
So, I mean, one of the things I would say is the best evidence for some fishiness going on with the elites is, are you aware of the Dennis Hastert case?
No, I'm not. No.
So this guy who's from Illinois, actually, Congressman Dennis Hastert, was I believe, the Speaker of the House during the Bush years for like 10 years, and he was basically had paid hush money when he was a wrestling coach in the 70s for molesting like young boys. And he just so happens to become the Speaker of the House with this very blackmailable. He was blackmailed. Yeah. So you wonder, maybe they do want people. They have blackmail material.
Yeah, I really think that's just a state of fact in life that if you're climbing up in the tree of being successful in the entertainment industry, in the pharmaceutical industry, in economics, in politics, it all depends on being blackmailed and extorted and being bribed. Unfortunately, I think that's the sad truth of this world.
So you're from Belgium, and I did read Dave McGowan. I think it's the beginning of Program to Kill. It's called The Pettyocracy, and it has a very long section on Marc Dutroux, who was from Belgium. Can you talk about that case, and do you have any first-hand knowledge about that case?
No first-hand knowledge but it was a very big case. Young girls started to disappear, and some were found dead. And initially, they really thought it was Marc Dutroux alone with his wife and an accomplice. They were just abducting and murdering young girls. But later, he stated that he was part of an organization who was really that he was really being paid to abduct young girls. And I really always thought he was telling the truth. And many Belgian people here are also claiming that fact. Yeah, there are so many instances that the police couldn't have prevented the girls being killed or being abducted. Like they were almost deliberately trying to attempt to manipulate the investigation And there was also a very big public outcry. I think at least 300,000 people went on the street, all dressed in white, to protest. And the firemen also came to the Justice Building to clean down the buildings with water as a sort of symbolizing the filth of the court system. So it was really a really sad time, and I think the people here are really still angry and upset and just disillusioned about the state of facts in that case.
You know, there are just amazing facts in your series that I would say, if we were having a debate about the validity of the subject, one of the best pieces of argument would be something like, I thought this was amazing. George W. Bush, was really famous for how many people he executed in Texas. And it was a thing of pride for him. But as you point out, he only saved one person from death. And who was that person?
It was Henry Lee Lucas, yeah. And there was an individual who supposedly, allegedly murdered 600 people or something like that. And it was all untrue. I think many of those killings were just Texas Rangers who want to close down the cases. And it was all not accurate, his confessions. But he was indeed involved with a satanic cult called the Hand of Death in the Florida Everglades. And yeah, it was really a case of lies and truth.
Yeah, and he just happens to pick that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He would execute a lady of 80 years of age or 90 years of age who just killed her son in self-defense because she was being abused, something in that nature. And she will be executed, but he won't execute a serial killer or a confessed serial killer. Yeah.
And then you show the press conference, and there's no details. It's not like, oh, I wasn't convinced about this detail. He just says, I wasn't convinced that it was right. Doesn't really explain.
Yeah, even just fool around with a few journalists like it's nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. Just from a creative angle, you've got so many stories here. Which do you think would make the best movies or TV shows?
That's a good question. Let me think. I think I really want to see a good miniseries about Ted Bundy, I think, or Jeffrey Dahmer, something like that. Or maybe Paul Bernardo and Carlo Molka are also very good. It's a very interesting case. I think the last one, Paul Bernardo and Carlo Molka, they should make a very good movie or miniseries about that case. Yeah.
Can you tell us about that case?
It was a case in Canada in the late 80s, early 90s. You had Paul Bernardo, who was coming from a fairly dysfunctional family. His father was a convicted child molester. His mother was being really overweight, was always yelling, and didn't cook. He had a brother and a sister. And he was actually fairly intelligent, had some friends, girlfriends. Did go to college to become an accountant. And later in life became affiliated with Carlo Molka, who had two younger sisters and lived in St. Catharines. And they became a couple, and they really shared a passion of abusing, torturing, and abducting young children. And they also always videotaped all their exploits. So you have also always a team in those serial killer cases that they even photograph or videotape their heinous crimes. So most profilers will say it's for trophies, trophy keeping. They want to relive the crime, but I think it's a more sinister approach to that. That they really are videotaping or photographing these crimes and perhaps sharing them with those shadow governments who are also involved in those kind of rituals.
So you think there's videos by them that are floating around?
Yes, at least I think we know at least 5 or 10 cases that is truly the fact. I think 80% of all serial killers did have document their crimes in photographs or videotapes, and there are always many rumors or authors who are alluding to the fact that there are indeed copies traded amongst the members in the Church of Satan or shadow governments, drug trafficking, like that. Yeah.
And that reminds me of one of your new videos, part 87, which is on Leonard Lake and Charles Ning, or I don't know how you pronounce his last name. Yeah. And I watched it, and it was one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen. I mean, and you show basically these people who were kidnapped, learning that, and it's just crazy. How did you find those videos?
I actually found that clip on Vimeo.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really a surprise for me too. But I really enjoyed the footage because I never saw that also, and it was really like 25 minutes of only Leonard Lake talking with no cuts in it, and you can really see what kind of person he really is. Like, really, yeah, it was really interesting.
And what kind of person? What is he like in your view?
Very articulate, intelligent, but really a sexual deviant. Really, twisted individual.
Yeah, I mean, he basically lays out his mindset during it, and it's
What I found interesting that in the second part you see the construction of the bunker they're trying to build, and you see Leonard Lake digging with a machine. But interesting enough, you also hear a voiceover of Leonard Lake describing what you see on screen. So I don't know how that's possible, because did he edit it before? It's really weird.
Yeah.
I mean, how can he comment on a videotape if he's already dead?
I don't know. I don't know.
Sorry?
I don't know. You'd have to look into what the technology was back then.
No.
In his case, he's like, I want to get with younger women, but I can't because I'm not attractive. It's almost demystifying. But you think he was making videos that were being sold?
Yes, I've read the book Die For Me, and it's a really good book about Leonard Lake and Charles Ing. It also describes the whole background from child to being adult. And Leonard Lake really many sexual advantages of young girls. He always was in contact with young girls, and he did a lot of photographing, nude pictures also. And he was even selling those images to unknown individuals, as the author stated in his book. And later he also videotaped S&M pornographic videotapes with his later ex-wife. So yeah, I really think, and he also stated that he was involved in a cult. So I really think those videotapes are existing somewhere. Yeah.
And do you think his wife was involved?
Yes. Now I don't really know if she was involved in the killings, but I do know for sure she know more than she let on.
You mentioned these books. I assume you've read tons of these true crime books. Could you? I'd be interested. What do you think if you had to recommend to a more casual reader, which would be the best books?
Just ordinary true crime books?
Just of these different books, which that you've used for your series, which are the best?
If you want to know more about Paul Bernard and Carlo Molca, Invisible Darkness is a very good book from author Stephen Williams.
What's the title again?
Invisible Darkness.
Okay.
You also have a very good book from Jeffrey Dahmer. It's called The Shrine of Jeffrey Dahmer. And also Jeffrey Dahmer from author Dr. John Norris. It's also a very good book because it delves more in the conspiracy arena in the Jeffrey Dahmer case, that he was actually possibly racist and also maybe not gay 100%, that he also had a sexual relationship with women, and that he was also in really weird stuff in the military, things of that nature. Good books on Ted Bundy are, I think, The Only Living Witness. But those books are very popular, so I think more people will know that.
Can you get into what you just piqued my interest with the Jeffrey Dahmer thing? Can you talk about what is that theory? What's the evidence behind that?
Well, the author interviewed many friends and relatives of Jeffrey Dahmer. And they actually confessed that I think it was the stepmother of Jeffrey Dahmer, Sherry Dahmer, that she actually made claims that after Jeffrey Dahmer was convicted of child molestation, of Santam Simpson, he actually did go not to prison, but sort of how do you say, sort of parole, but you are in prison.
Sort of like outpatient treatment.
Yeah, something of that. Yeah. And he was put together in a small room with a lot of black people. And she always thought that he was being raped when he was being on parole. And he really had a racist attitude against black people after that. And you also have interviews with a transvestite who was hanging out in a gay club in Milwaukee, who also was associated with Jeffrey Dahmer. And he or she also made claims that Jeffrey Dahmer really hated homosexuals, actually. That he was really confused with his own sexual identity and his relationship with his father and things of that. And to my research, I've fairly big source material of that claim. I really think that Lionel Dahmer actually sexually abused Jeffrey Dahmer.
Which are there particular videos you've made that you're most proud of?
Of the YouTube series?
Yes.
I think the last parts, because it contains a lot of archive material, and I think the case of Ted Bundy is very good, I think.
And do you think you've learned anything about storytelling? Any tips for people?
No, not really tips, but I think I learned some of it. I really think that if you are looking at the first videos, the first 10 parts or 20 parts, and you later check the last parts, they're really stepping up a little bit. They're really more better edited, more music, more source material, more so they're better. Yeah.
Do you still believe that the elite it seems like Satanism sort of had its heyday? Do you think or do you disagree with that?
Could you restate your question?
So it seems like Satanism was a lot bigger in the late 70s than it is today. Do you disagree with that?
Yeah, I think I disagree with that. I really think that Satanism and the occult is more common knowledge right now. It's more accepted. Like, it's not really something weird anymore. It's like normal, because if you look at the entertainment industry, movies or music videos, you can't pull your head around, and you see occult symbolism. I mean, it's really everywhere. It's like a state of fact right now.
Okay. So
the programming worked.
So do you believe right now that in Chicago or Miami or Denver, there are children or people being held underground, like Leonard Lake did?
Absolutely, I know that. Yeah.
For sure.
Yes, I really don't think those things just happened or just stop like that. I think it's more. I think it's more elaborate right now. It's more. It's only getting worse. I think. Yeah.
What do you? Okay. So, do you think all sort of prominent people are involved, or any these days that you think in particular there's something dirty about them?
Yeah, I do believe it's very difficult to explain always because if you're like a serial killer case of Leonard Lake or Charles Ng, you can't say okay, everything is involved, everybody's involved with that case. But what we do know is that Leonard Lake was associated with some kind of cult, and that cult couldn't have members that were lawyers or doctors or someone who has a prominent position in the government. So you have all those cases. I mean, yeah, if there is someone associated with that case who has a high place in government, many times they will just sweep it under the rug, under the carpet.
I'm curious. What's your view of the whole Me Too movement, the Weinstein situation, and all the other men that have been swept up in this? Do you have a view of that?
Yeah, I think it was something that was going to happen eventually, and they really just took out the most terrible person in Hollywood who was doing these things for like 2 decades. So yeah, it was not really a coincidence or a surprise. I think that Harvey Weinstein was being accused of those things because everybody knew he was doing it. So, and even Kevin Spacey. I mean, everybody, of most people, did know Kevin Spacey was really one fine actor, but one twisted individual sexually. So yeah, it's all coordinated. I think it's not really a surprise. I think many people did already knew that it was going to happen.
The Kevin Spacey thing. I have not been watching House of Cards since the first season, but when all the allegations came out, somebody showed a clip from the recent seasons, and it's like him cornering a guy and saying, the only thing you're gonna get from me is my cum on your face. It's like what's going on there? Yeah.
Yeah, I really love Kevin Spacey. I've seen, I
Yeah.
think, almost all his movies. I really appreciate him as an actor. I still love the guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as a human being, I don't think. Yeah, it is just really wrong and really morally just sick. So.
So you made one video about Alex Jones, Part 75. What's your view on him?
Yeah, Alex Jones. Where should I begin? Yeah, I really enjoyed the Alex Jones show when it just started, when it was first introduced in these kind of topics. And even some of my family members also were intrigued by it. But years later and years later and years later, and yeah, there weren't any solutions to the problems he was presenting. So I really just changed my mind. Like, what the hell are you screaming about with a big megaphone before the Bilderberg conferences? I think it's not really working. It's not really helping. I mean, you're getting rich and doing the same thing year after year, but we're not getting a step ahead. So, and those really became the indications that he was really a puppet and really just playing a game and not really sincere about his claims. Yeah.
But I think you reference Eric John Phelps, and I don't know, what is he? He says Jones is like a Catholic pawn. Do you believe that?
Yeah, I think that when I made that video, that is 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So I've, of course, now truly a whole new mindset and whole other allegations and theories. I don't know if that guy is truly has credibility. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are people who claims that he was indeed some kind of Zionist agent, that he was really protecting the Catholic Church and things of that nature.
Yeah. Well, he would say that he has made progress. I mean, what if I told you 4 years ago that we'd have a president who takes personal phone calls from Alex Jones? You probably would have laughed at me, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's some sort of progress, at least for him. What? So I guess what I'm getting at is what is your view of Trump?
I think Trump is a businessman, not really a president. He's a businessman. He's just a con man, con artist, and now he's president.
Okay, so you don't like Trump. So I guess
I didn't like Hillary Clinton either. So
yeah. But so what is your political stripe?
I think I'm left. Yeah, far left, but it's a really sensitive subject to talk about religion and about politics. I think even in my country, I don't know how to discuss it really, because I really wished I believed in democracy, but I think democracy is an illusion. If you're really aware of the secret societies and the shadow governments and the whole corruption and of politics, the extortion and blackmail and pedophilia and all those things, I really don't think you can. And those silly debates on television. I mean, yeah, who believes this stuff?
What are some subjects you think you might cover in future videos that or things you've been looking at more recently?
Let's see. Sometimes I get some emails from people, like they say, if I can investigate, please, those murderers. I think there are a few murders with a former girlfriend of Ashton Kutcher. That's a very interesting case, I heard. And also the Jokert's donut shop murders, something like that. So I don't know, maybe a new shooting. We had the Las Vegas shooting. I did a small video about that. Yeah.
Yeah, what is going on with that? I mean, I have no idea what was.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you have two groups. One group say those people all got shot. Indeed, like 30 or I think 80 people or 50 people dead or something like that. 80 people dead. I don't know.
50.
And 50. And another group say it was all hoax. It was all fake. But I do believe it was indeed a shooting. I do believe there was being actual bullets fired. But I also believe there was some kind of miscommunication and misconception of what exactly happened there. That it was being made bigger in the mainstream media than it really was. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of you. Who are you a big fan of?
I used to have many fans, but if you get older and more wise and more aware of the world, you don't have many heroes left, actually. Alex Jones was a hero of mine like 7 years ago, and also Michael Tessarian and Alan Watt, I think. Yeah.
Mm. But are there filmmakers?
Ed Opperman is still a hero of mine. I think Ed Opperman does some really good investigative work.
Are there? Do you know Jay Widener?
Yes, yeah, that's a good. Yeah. That's I second that.
Yeah. But who are your favorite filmmakers?
Stanley Kubrick, David Fincher, David Lynch, Paul Thomas Anderson, Martin Scorsese, and Christopher Nolan.
Yeah. Do you have any documentarians you really like?
Not at the top of my head, but I do like the documentaries Koyaanisqatsi and Yeah, Koyaanisqatsi, those trilogy.
Yeah, I love Philip Glass's music.
Yeah, that's also very beautiful music. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you seem to be, you're like an amazing researcher. Um, do you have any interesting methods besides, I mean, just Google searching is one, but I think, I assume you've used like the C-SPAN archive, which is great, I know. But there are other things you can use beyond Google. Do you sort of have any techniques or special archives you like to go to?
No, not really. I really buy a lot of books, so I'm really a reader. So I think reading is almost the best thing in the world. So and seeing a lot of movies and television shows, and also communicating with people on the internet, and even when I'm going out and hanging in the bar or something like that, just talking. Always keep communicating.
By the way, what video editing software do you use?
I used to work first with Magix, and now I use Adobe Premiere Pro.
Which cases are you most certain that there's something weird going on with?
Now, to be fairly, I think all of those cases I just made the episode from.
Okay.
Yeah, all those cases have really, really serious unanswered questions and really connections to the military, intelligence agencies, the occult, Satanism, or secret society.
So with the
those are really undeniable. Yeah.
with the military, is it like you literally think that they were like being brainwashed, like Jeffrey, when you get out of the army, we want you to kill a bunch of people, or how literal do you mean the programming?
Yeah, I don't want to say indeed that every serial killer that was in the army was being programmed and being just truly brainwashed to performing these killings. That not, but I do think there was some kind of programming. Like Arthur Sharpless, they really found surgical intervention in his brains. So someone really was being in his brains to alter moods, alter behavior. And even Jeffrey Dahmer, indeed, there was also allegations that he tortured an army bunkmate named Billy Capshaw and give him drugs and tied him up and things of that nature. And he was even also being complicit in a secret operation in Israel. So you have all of those kind of clues. Also with David Berkowitz, that he was taking LSD, and even newspapers came out that he was actually changing his, altering his moods. What are your thoughts about the Charles Manson murders? Because interestingly enough, I received a PDF file, and it really had some good information. It's like 30 or 50 pages long PDF file. And it really came to the conclusion, or even of make the allegation, that the whole Manson murders were actually hoaxed, were actually fake.
Really?
Yeah, and it's really interesting. He had a lot of photographs, times, dates, names, that all those individuals who have actually allegedly committed those murders were also actors and actresses. So, and really, 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 really weird associations and connections that led to believe that there was some kind of whole staging of events and not really murders committing there.
But are they saying that Sharon Tate is still alive?
Yes, actually they did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, what do you think of Roman Polanski?
Well, I think he's a very good director.
Yeah.
But I think he's very, very peculiar man with peculiar interest in young girls.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's not even. Have you seen the documentary Roman Polanski Wanted and Desired?
No, I don't. No.
Yeah, I mean, he's like very open about that. He doesn't even deny that. Yeah.
Yeah, but truth. truth be told, I think everyone in those entertainment industry is involved into sexual activity with young girls. I mean, if you look at Jack Nicholson or Dustin Hoffman or every single big artist is really it's the way of life in the high echelons of society, I think.
So, I guess to end, what are your plans for the future?
I really don't know. I'm at this point unemployed, so I'm really trying to look for a good job, and maybe in the future I will make further episodes. I don't know. I saved up a little bit of archive material already, so perhaps I think in a few months or few weeks I can make another compilation. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
well, we're all going to be waiting for it, and just thank you so much for your work. I think it's so unique. And I really do think you, God, you just have a talent for scaring people. You know, it really.
But I don't know if we really should thank you for that, but thanks.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for talking, Patrick.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome.
Okay.